down the hammer and pick up the pencil. You're about to listen to the Savvy Radio Show. Learn from real-life real estate investors, experience revealed with the Savvy Landlord as your host.
Yes, our subject is rehabbing. Are you excited?
Yes.
Excited.
It's been a while. I haven't seen. We got one new guy, right? Who else is new? First time. What's your name?
Steve Augustine.
Steve Augustine.
Yep.
Nice to meet you. It's like a philosopher, right?
Saint.
Saint?
Same.
Same thing. We have a celebrity dissenter. Zoe, what's up, homie? All right. We're talking about rehabs, money, and life. Who likes rehabs?
Oh, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Because you like to spend money.
Right.
Who likes to spend money?
I'm totally girl.
I mean, I like to make money. I like to make money. All right. Well, this is your first time. This is our first Facebook Live. I'm excited that you're here. My name is Steven VanCauwenbergh. I am just the mediator today. I am just your host. Your $10 functions for this space. We keep this just for you because of your $10. No. We need your $10 to succeed so we can pay for the AC and the lights. So I appreciate you coming. Spread the word. We do this the third Wednesday of every month. Right? Okay, and we've had some really good ones, and we're recording this, and this will be on the internet somewhere. So, rehabs. Is anybody in the middle of a rehab right now?
2.
Okay, we got 4 people. We're going to talk to you guys. We're going to pull you out. So, Roy, what's your problem with your rehab? Do you have a problem with your... We're going to get all the problems out, and then we're going to talk about the good. Any problems with your rehab?
Quality.
Quality of construction, quality of labor, material, quality. What do you mean by quality?
Labor.
Labor. You can't find good labor.
Yeah.
How much are you paying? Are you doing it by job or by the hour?
Job.
Okay. Give us an example of what's bad quality. What was it? A window, a door? And I know you're a little jaded. I could tell you're a little frustrated, and age is creeping up on you, and you're like, damn. But you're the next. All right, we'll move back to you, Dean. Moving on. You in rehab right now? Okay. Any problems?
Negotiations with contractors, I think.
Okay, great subject. We're going to rock that out. Negotiating with contractors. So this is an issue, right? Give us an example of an issue that you have. Turn that phone off, girl.
Just coming to an agreement on prices and changes.
Okay, so when you say changes, you're talking about a change order where you said, hey, I want to pay $200 for this, but then you wanted trim and it became a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll definitely cover that. Anybody else? Who else is in the middle of a rehab? I saw another hand pop up. Well, you're different.
Yeah.
All right, okay, Joanne. Tell us any problems with your rehab. Not long, 30 seconds.
Name it.
19, 18, 17. To give us a problem.
To do something that I say?
Okay, good. They won't follow through?
No.
Follow through. So far, it just seems like everything is a contractor.
Okay, so I have to speak up. So my day job is home inspector. So I inspect a lot of homes that have been rehabbed.
Okay.
And we find things that should never happen, really dangerous things. So older home, there's no place to put the hot water heater, right? So they put an instant hot water heater, but the roofers had just hacked off the chimney and roofed over it. So the instant hot water heater was expelling its gases into the attic space.
No exhaust.
And these people have been living in this house for 2 years since it had been fixed up, and then they were trying to resell it, and we point out, hey,
Well, one
you gotta
problem
make
is,
a problem here.
what's the one problem? What happened there that went wrong? Anybody can figure that one out? It's real quick.
No permits called.
No permit. Someone trying to hustle.
So
That would be easily caught if they pulled a gas permit on there, because that's dangerous.
it's truly dangerous. And I see this kind of thing a lot with fixed up houses. So people that are remodeling are maybe hiring people who give a low bid and they don't care what kind of a job they do.
Okay.
And then nobody's checking.
Okay, you want me to jump on this one right here? This one will set the tone for the rest of the hour. Yes, dear.
I visit my houses.
Okay,
Not on a daily
let's jump on this one. Here we go. The first thing you need to do is vet out your contractor. Write that down. Vet out your contractor. Price really doesn't matter. And I can give you thousands of examples of getting a good price, and by the time I had to deal with this individual or this company, it costs more than if I hired a licensed contractor. Would you agree with me on this? Okay, so what's our first number one problem? Vetting out a contractor. So how do you do it? What's the first thing you should do?
How can you check to see if they're actually licensed? Is there
Well, we'll get to that in a second. What's the first thing you should do? Good job, Alan.
Get a
See
reference.
his work.
Get a reference is a good one.
You need to see some of your work.
Okay, let's write these down. We got this. Not even you didn't get my answer yet. Reference, see work. Okay,
Where'd you come from?
keep going. What's the first thing? What do you think? What's the first savvy thing you should do?
Are you licensed?
Okay, what's the next savvy thing you should do?
Their insurance.
Insurance.
Third, look them up on OCN.
Mm-hmm.
Find out OCN is a criminal docket court system. That's the first. Anybody that even comes into your sphere, anybody that you're going to pen a check to or VMO somebody some money, look them up on the county on the it's court. You could Google this up. Oklahoma Court Records on Demand. It will bring you to a different website. You may have not been there, but you can find anybody and anything that's ever happened to them on OCN, any kind of legality. Okay, that would be my first thing to do. It doesn't matter if they've been sued 30 times and they have insurance, because guess what? People have tried to sue me and they have insurance, but they're still shady. Okay, so yes, definitely check your insurance. Now, how can you? Here's some scams that you should do on your insurance. Number one, you probably do this. Hey, I need to see your insurance. You see the insurance, but how do you verify the insurance? You know how I do it? I never ask them for their insurance. I ask them for their insurance broker. Who's your insurance broker? Let me get their phone number. I call the insurance broker to prove that they have current insurance. So are we done today? That was worth your $10. Okay, we just got started. Okay, that's the first thing you should do is check them on OCN. The next thing you should do, you should call their insurance company, and they should gladly give it to you. And if they don't give it to you, then you got a problem right there. Okay.
Steve,
Then we
just ask for an insurance certificate to be sent to you.
That doesn't work. I can photocopy that and white it out and put, Jose in there.
Well,
Or any name.
from their agents.
I get it from their agent.
Yeah.
And then I got a bona fide document that I can go after their agent on.
Because if they send that to you,
Then it's bona fide. And then now they're legal liable. If they send me a little piece of paper, I got it.
and if it's canceled, they're supposed to notify you.
Yeah, you don't know. But if I call that agent today and say, hey, I need to get blank company's insurance for my scope of work, blah, 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 no problem. Where do I email it to you? I have it. Now I have a tangible legal document in my hands. Okay? And then we move on forward from there. Then what's the next thing after that? So we got court docs. We got the insurance. And then references. I would not do references. I think references are a waste of time. Okay? I don't. I'm glad that, Blake sent me a guy, and usually if someone sends me something, I go off of their stature, but many times that doesn't necessarily mean that's okay, because they may have done Blake a great job, and they may be really good at doors, but they don't know a dang thing about hanging a window. Okay? So references are mute in my mind. I take them, I listen to them, but some people use shark bites. And some people don't know how to sweat a pipe. Okay? So if you're uneducated as a real estate investor and you're putting shark bites in all your walls,
You gotta go back again.
and then he's doing you a solid, and you're not educated about plumbing, and then I get a good reference. Oh, he was great. He plumbed my whole crib. This actually happened to me. The only reason why I know this, because it's happened to me. So, insurance, references. The next thing is OG said. What did he say? What did Kendall LeBlanc say? See their work. See their work. Write it down. Come on, Leanne. Come on, work with me, girl. You see their work. Now, here's a problem that I see is that you see their work, but how do you know if it's legit?
Kind of have to have a little experience, I think. But
You got to have experience.
Well, lots of videos on Google and YouTube.
Yeah, man, YouTube is you could just type in how to see if a roof is straight. I mean, you know, there's this thing called the Holy Spirit. If you haven't heard about him, let me tell you about him. Because you can go somewhere and you know something's not right, right? Have you ever had that opportunity before? There's just something not right. Well, you need to have that radar on when you're on a property or you're looking at something. If the guy's sketchy and what's the reference, and he's like, yeah, I did these 3 houses over here, and then you're like, you point blank, you got to ask him, what's the address? And he doesn't articulate that properly, and then you can feel in your gut there's something wrong. There's something wrong. Okay, it's called the gut check, or the Holy Spirit, depends on how you look at it. But the deal is, I remember many times I would get a roofer's number. How do you even know that the roof that's on there is really their roof? How would you find that? Permit. You should check permits. You can go to the, I don't know, it's like okc.gov. something. You can actually check permits. It's freaking fascinating. And there's a website I talked about a long time ago where it can aggregate every permit that was actually done on a house. And it's got to be buried in a podcast somewhere. But there was a website that you can put in a house and it will pull all the permits. I've done a podcast like 2-3 years ago on it. But yeah, you should look in their permits. You can go to Oklahoma City. You can look at the permits. Here's a cool thing that I noticed that on a job that I was looking at, that this contractor was real quick at pulling a permit. Why do you think that's so?
You've been burned before.
Burned before, or what's the main reason why we have contracts?
Cover our butt.
Because we're in control, right? I've noticed this before where I had a contractor put a septic line in and ordered a permit, and then I fired that dude, and then I had another contractor come behind him. He was all up in arms. Hey, this guy already pulled the permit. So be wary of that too. Some people are real quick and make sure you're having this conversation with them before. I've seen this where before we even done with the conversation, the guy was already on the phone trying to order the permit so he would be in first position on that property. And he has a case against you already. I pulled a permit. You like that one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now you made another $10. We will make you $100. You okay, sir? You need to use the restroom? No? Okay. All right. What else? See their work. Okay. Let's dive all into that here and get some more questions in. How do we verify their work? Well, the first thing you should do is that you should have another set of pair of eyes. Mm-hmm. Call a friend up. Joanne's doing a rehab right now. I guarantee if she called me up and I was in that area and I would go to her house, I guarantee I would see something that she wouldn't see. I would learn something that she didn't learn, and we would help each other. You should have the buddy system as a real estate investor. Okay? Find someone. Now, Andrew has rehab probably, 60 houses? Probably? Somewhere around there. Now, he definitely does it differently than I do. I have seen some of Andrew's work. Now, I guarantee, though, I remember vividly when I went to that house over there off of Villa. I was like, whoa, you did it like that? Why'd you do it like that? You can learn. So it's never a waste of your time, and you could help another investor. So, man, get out my camera, homie. Hey, Facebook Live. All right. Oh, you VIP, sit by me. All right. Oh, man, you don't take over the world. So, okay, buddy system. Does anybody does not know another real estate investor? Raise your hand, because I'm going to buddy you up with somebody. Everybody has a friend that's a real estate investor. Are you just scared? You scared?
Yeah, but getting through it.
Okay. I'm going to see. Let me introduce you to Andrew. He has remodeled 60 houses or so. Okay. What's your phone number?
Right here.
Write that shit down. Here you go.
No, I'm giving it to him.
Yeah. You put it on a bathroom window. All right, buddy system. What's another way to check someone else's work? Come on, Whataburger's gonna kill you, man. So you might as well just get the answer out now.
Like check online, man. You can dig around, stalk them on Facebook, Google them.
Well, how do you verify work, though? How do you verify
Call the owner.
that?
Well, you call, yeah.
The owner of the reference, okay? You can see their permit. You can Google them and find their permit. There's got to be another way. Alan said something really good. He said YouTube, because a lot of people when I explain to people that shark bites are bad, they were only made. Does anybody know what who doesn't know what a shark bite is so I can explain it? Okay, so a shark bite is an emergency process where you have a leak in a pipe, usually copper to copper, okay, and there's a leak, it cracked. You can solve that problem quickly by buying a thing called the shark bite. It looks like this, it's that big, it's round, and you can cut those pipe and you can splice them together and it's done. Now it will last for a month or 2, it might last for 3 years, but it's not the proper way to fix an installation. Okay? But in today's world, there's not enough plumbers anymore. A lot of young people are not going to plumbing school. They don't want to dig ditches. So there's a lot of people rolling around saying that they're plumbers, and they're not, and they're using these devices that are not should be used behind a wall. You should use it on a temporary in a water heater or under a sink. It's a temporary installation. But so Alan had a good point. He's like, how do you verify someone else's work? YouTube is a great place. Okay, especially when I'm talking about replacing an electrical panel, man, there's so much information about electrical panel, how many amps to watts, and just so you can verify stuff, and then you can actually see on there a finished wired breaker box. Does it look like a breaker box this guy just referred you to? I think that's one of the best ideas that you've ever said.
I've also got some good references from ProDesk people at Home Depot and Lowe's.
Okay, you beat me on the find them.
But
okay, all right, we'll get to that later.
Those are good.
But how do we verify work? People say that they do good work, but how do you really know that they do good work?
Watch them. Have them do something. Sweat a pipe right in front of you.
Yeah, I when I was running a bunch of rehabs, I definitely would. When I interview them over the phone, I had like this 3-step process. I'd interview them on the phone, and I'd ask them, "Do you have this tool? Do you have this tool?" They would say yes. They know how to talk the game, but then I would have them do it in front of me, and I would ask them. Here's a few things that I would ask them. Do you have a PEX tool? Does anybody know what a PEX tool is? Does anybody does not know what a PEX tool is? Okay, it's a crimper that you use for when you plumb a house or you plumb any kind of plumbing, water, cold, hot, and what it does, it's a ring that goes around this flexible tubing, and it clamps it down. It's about a $60 tool. How much is that tool? But if they don't have that tool, then they're probably not at the level or the handyman or whatever level that you need. Now, they may be an electrician and they may not have it, but I'm talking about a guy that says, I can do all things. You know that guy? Okay, write this down. I'm going to mess up this quote. Never hire unskilled labor for skilled work. Never hire unskilled labor for skilled work, and vice versa too. Never hire skilled work for labor, meaning sweeping, cleaning. So just keep that in mind. And don't try to hire an electrician to plumb your kitchen. Always try to hire someone that's all they do all the time. The guy, the jack of all trades, or the gal that can do all things, paint and roof at the same time, with one toe on the gutter, make sure it's secure, that's the person you don't want to be working with.
Just because they say they've done it for 30 years doesn't mean they're doing it right.
Mm-hmm. Here's the common things that you should, this would be fun. Let's pause here. What's the common things they say to you on the phone that to build their wealth of who they are or build their continuity or their credibility? I've been doing this my whole life. Has anybody heard that one?
My father taught me.
My father taught me. I wish contractors would listen to this. They're too busy on the phone saying these things. What's another one? I have all the tools you need. Hand tools, though. Do you have a PEX tool? No, I don't. How do you have all the tools I need? Do you know what HVAC means, sir? I'm serious. I asked you. Do you know what a P-trap is? Do you know what a G5? What's that outlet in the kitchen?
GFCI.
Yeah. It's been a long time since I've done this. GFI. Do you know what GFI is? Does anybody does not know what a GFI is? If you don't, I'd love to help you. Okay. What other things? I know you hire a lot of contractors there, Jackie. You like them for some reason.
People tell me they're a carpenter, but they don't know K-pattern from sanitary trim, a soffit from a fur down. They don't know the tool. I ask them, do you have an oscillating tool? Do you have a
Oscillating.
joinery tool, just a joinery tool, things like that. They don't know what I'm talking about.
Yes. All right. So, of course, I wrote a book on this called Hiring a Contractor. But on the back of the book, I have like 20 pages of all the things that you need to know. All the words that just came out of her mouth. Osculate. What is it? Osculate. Soffit. Faucet. Fascia. Not faucet. Fascia. Do you guys know what those are? If you know what those are, you can handle the conversation. The contractor price goes way up when you don't understand what they're saying. Not only that your time and energy, but you've got to spend at least some time understanding these terminologies so you can have a conversation with them. This is a great website you should go to called homewise.com. HOMWYSE.com. HomeWise is a great opportunity for you to look at, to do a project and you know exactly what it's going to cost. For example, I was pouring a driveway for my mom and it was like 20 feet by 10 and it factored in, it told me exactly what it would cost to do the concrete job. So I'm armed with the knowledge before I can get a bid. And it was interesting. It was $1,000 and I had some guy come in at $975, I had a guy come in at $11 and I had a guy come in at $13. So I was just armed with this information so I know exactly what I'm dealing with and why. Okay, so we're pretty comfortable with that. Moving on, what's the next thing you need to do?
How fast they are. Oh, they'll get it done so quickly.
Oh, that's a question you should ask. Okay, so, all right, move on. What else?
That's good and bad, though, right? Then if you know,
That's
quality
good.
contractor, well, because I'm in kind of both sports. If you're a quality contractor, sometimes you can't just be available just right then and right there because you have other jobs that you're on because you're actually working.
Well, the number one question I ask them, who's doing the work? Is it you or your team?
Some are now, yeah.
Because that guy's never going to be on the job because what's his job? He's always
Go out and get new jobs.
he's trying to get new jobs. It's a cyclical thing. So that's one question I do. And then I always ask, where are you right now in your jobs that you're currently working? One reason is, well, if they say, oh, I'm on a job, I'll be done in 2 weeks, I'm like, where is that job? Let me go see it. So I hook them. I find out right then, so I go right to their job site and find out whether, and if they're sketchy right there, they're not telling me, well, it's my uncle's and we're doing, that dude's shady, he just got out of the pen. I'm being serious. Like, what I'm saying is truthful. I mean, so I ask them when can they get the job done, and where are they at in the pipeline? See if they're busy, and if they're a really good contractor, what's the thing that they say? What's the time frame that they're far behind?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
30 days is a really good contractor. That means he's pretty good with his money because he's in a 30-day cycle. And he knows well enough, he's been vetted enough that he knows where his pipeline is. The 2 week is an average answer that people say. Most people will say a week if they haven't really been doing their job. If they're good, they're busy. Right? If you're good, you're busy. So now, what's the best way to get a contractor on your good side? Say something nice.
Pay him when.
Pay him quickly. Everybody wants to get paid.
Take care
So,
of him.
yeah, I mean, when I was getting electrical box wired not too long ago, all the way in Midwest State, I'm like, where are you? I'll meet you right now. And I'll get it done. Because when I need to call him and I'm in a bind and I need something done, he's going to take my call first, then the slow pay guy that doesn't pay. Okay, so just keep that in mind. They're human beings just like us.
Try e-checks for that too.
Huh?
Pay him quick and use e-checks.
E-checks, I don't know what that is.
It's where you can, you send them a check by email and they print it out, put it in the bank that day.
Okay. All right, any other problems? Are we covered enough of that? Just big scopes there? We can get deeper into that, or we're still talking about
What a
rehabs?
big front draw, that's a problem these days.
Oh, great. Man, that's why you're a great attorney. You need law advice. Should you give him any money up front?
No.
No. Let's say that again.
No.
No.
Should you give him any money up front?
No.
Why not? You shaking your head.
Because we know too many people have been burned. Just walk right up.
Right, and what do they say that I need the money for the material? What do you say next?
I'll go with
You
you.
gotta manage your money.
I'll go with you, Joanne.
Or I'll buy the materials.
Yeah.
Or I'll buy the materials.
What do you need?
What do you need? You know, what I normally do is I'll send them out there and get a punch list for me created and the material list already lined out before we even talk about stuff. just so we're on the same page before we even get going. The guy's like, yeah, you know, how many sheets of drywall do you think this wall needs right here? Let's just, who wants to take a guess here? Well, how big is drywall?
4 by 8.
Or it comes in 4 by 12?
Yeah, there's 2.
Okay, well, this just depends on how skilled you are.
$3.
Average person only know 4 by 8, but you can buy 4 by 12. Okay, so how many sheets do I need? So you just kind of guesstimate, right?
Well,
Right? The guy says 30. I'm serious. I do this all the time. So I ask him, hey, give me an estimate. Say, you know, when you were with me on that paint job, man, you need 15 gallons of paint. I'm like, we're not painting your aunt's house too.
Where we putting it?
Oh boy, you lost your mind. Seriously, he was like 15. This is a 2-bedroom. Now, you know, I understand there's some nicotine in here. No, I was just playing, but you gotta have a scope of work. Okay. Any questions so far before we beat up something else?
I read someplace they said have it in your contract with the person you're hiring to do the work, how much time they're gonna spend and how many workers are gonna be there. Like they may be working several jobs at a time, but you don't want them sending somebody over to work 5 or 6 hours once a week at your place. It's gonna drag on and on. So in the contract, how much time they need to be spending on your project.
Okay, so what are contracts really useful? When are contracts useful?
When you go to court.
When you go to court. Do you want to go to court with a person that has no money? So are contracts really? You can have everything you want in a contract, girl. It doesn't mean it's going to be enforced. It doesn't mean it's going to work. And I can tell you right now, I don't know if you can pin any contractor down. Hey, I want 5 guys here for 3 weeks. It's never going to happen. I mean, look, has that ever? You know, they have the best. These gentlemen and women, they have the best intentions. They're not out, I don't think, maliciously trying to take your money, but circumstances do arise. So, I mean, if you can pin them down, that maybe if you got a $30 million job and we're putting in a driveway or the whole freeway down here, I-44, and they get penalized for every day they go after, but they're going to beef up the price to compensate that. So, yeah, you can put anything you want in a contract. Here's the best way that I do it. This is the best way how I do a contract. I go to Walmart, and I get this thing called the statement book. Okay? It's a carbonless copy book. Okay, you know what I'm talking about? Everybody know what I'm talking about? It's like an invoice book.
Yep.
And have you seen these before? Contractors actually carry these.
I have
It's
one.
fascinating. You have one. Okay, good for you.
In case they don't.
Okay, because they don't. Well, this is what I do, because I can't remember. At one time, I was doing 14 rehabs at one time, and I can't remember what I said to that dude yesterday or within 30 minutes ago. Because some dude's screaming at me because he wants a check, and I'm screaming at him, you ain't going to get paid until it's done. So now what I do is I take this pad, I walk around the crib with him, and I'm like, hey, how much are you going to charge me to do this? And I write it all down with him in the place, and then I make him sign it, and I give him a copy.
That's also useful if they
In the court of law.
If they file a mechanics lien against you, you have.
Yep, and I have a document. I'm gonna tell you about mechanics lien. I believe me, I got Jackie on speed dial. Yeah, no, for real, I do. She's on my #1 page because it happens a lot in my world. So this is a true story. So now, can you really fight a mechanics lien? Well, we can get into mechanics lien on another time. But there was a time where I hired this roofer. I paid this roofer full job. He put a roof on the house, roofing and material. I wrote him the $5,000 check. Thanks, homie. You did a good job. Shalakum. And then, next thing you know, I'm getting certified letters in the mail from, remember this call?
The roofing company.
No, yeah, not from
the supplier.
The supplier. Blowing me up. We're going to put a lien on your property because we have not been paid for the material. I said, whoa, hold on, chick. I paid the whole amount. I have a receipt right here. I have a canceled check. Call them Bank First. Right now, send it to me. And that it did not matter because that guy did not pay for the material. And I am responsible. I called the attorney. Is this true? Could this happen? Can they put a lien? Yeah, absolutely, they can. Now, what was my only option? Didn't matter that I paid the guy the money. Now you have to ask yourself, how in the world did they get the address of my property? How'd they get the address? Does anybody know?
Delivered it.
They delivered it to my house. And now I'm liable. Now, if that contractor picked it up and had a trailer and negotiated with that roofing supply company, would I have been named in this at all? No. Interesting. So just be careful. The same thing that happened to me with the septic tank deal. This guy, and what you said, exact same thing that you said. Hey, I had the city all over my back. I mean, they were riding me like a donkey. Like, dude, it's sewage spewing everywhere. Everybody hates me. You know, like I meant to do this. like let me just poop everywhere, everybody. You know, I didn't know the septic tanks would explode. So I mean, we were on it like Johnny, Johnny on the spot. And the city's all over me, and I'm trying to find a contractor that can jump on this deal right now. And at this point in time, I didn't want to get fined from the city. Plus, it's kind of nasty. You know, we got smells and little items floating around on the front yard. So we want to fix this deal real quick. So this guy assured me in writing, we gonna get this done. And he was a little bit more than, well, I couldn't really get anyone over there. I hire this guy, and is 3 weeks behind. The next door neighbor is blowing up the city every day. City's all over me. What do? What do you do in this situation? What's your name?
Kyle.
Welcome. Kyle, what would you do?
Not much you can do.
Oh, no, there's something you can do.
What can you do? Pray.
What should I do? Pray? Amen. Go to Life Church and pray. No. What could you do?
Fire his ass.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I did. So I fired him. See you later, Joker. Now, I didn't pay him. He didn't do any work. But what did he do? He pulled the permit. Yep. So, this great other company came in, and they dug the deal out and dropped in a new aerobic system, and my tenants are happy. The neighbors, high-fiving me with gloves on, and we're all good for the minute. And I pay him, and next thing you know, I get a letter in the mail I'm threatening me to put a lien on my property because I fired him because he had a bona fide contract with me. I was like, okay, buddy, let's go to court. See what I'm saying? So contracts really are mute. You got to think about this. Don't think that this contract is going to save you or your house is going to be fixed right or you're going to get a refund. Okay? You should take care of it and have a contract and document it and make sure you hold them to the fire. But just keep in mind, when it gets down and dirty, it's really not the saving grace that you think it is.
You mentioned twice now they put liens on your property. This was the job before. Well, what was the end result?
Well, that guy just threatened me. He thought I was some punk. But I've had liens on a property before, and I was just refinancing a house. This is awesome. This is why you want Jackie on a speed dial. So I forgot I had and I don't want to mention any names because I'm trying to be cool. So I had something blow up at a property, and I had to use a remediation service. Okay, and they came out and took care of everything, and then they sent these very bizarre people down there, and they were removing furniture. Tenants were going ballistic. It was an apartment building. Okay, so I had to step in that deal, shut that deal down, fire these people. I said, hey, and there was a discrepancy about a couple $1,000s that I still owed them. And I was like, well, you have to pay back this lady's couch that just randomly disappeared. And so, blah, blah, blah. So that guy just disappeared. 5 years later, I'm refinancing this property, and guess what the bank said?
There's a lien.
There's a lien on the property. And this gal that was underwriting me, she was up in arms. Oh, we can't do nothing because you have a lien on it. So I said, okay, if I do have a lien on the property, which is BS, and I'm like, who is a lien? And she told me the name. Oh, okay. We're ready for that one. I said, I'll pay the lien. I need to refinance. So, but I'm not sure, but let me verify. Let me call my attorney. But liens only last a certain length of time. But she didn't know. The banker didn't know.
True.
So I called my attorney. Super girl, can you email me that in writing? Boom. She emailed me. I forwarded it to her. I closed the next day.
What I emailed him was the statute that says
just the law.
Mechanics liens expire in 1 year and cannot be renewed. So that was history. That was not a good lien anymore.
What about an affidavit like we would file if we were trying to buy a house? How long do those last?
You're talking about like me and you have an agreement, we go file it?
That's on there forever.
Well, it clouds the title. Anytime you put anything on a property, an affidavit on something, which is like, hey, I'm claiming something, it's clouded until it's released.
Okay, so it's not, it's different than.
Yeah, but I wouldn't talk about that pretty loud there, buddy. Because, that could happen.
Couldn't you have filed charges against that guy for the property that was vacant? And left it, it would just been open until they ever caught him, fine, but.
You mean me put charges against him?
Yes, for stealing.
Yeah, I could open up a big case, because I had the tenant was there. I mean, but it was like a $500 couch, and it just turned into, you're not doing your job. You sent these terrible people here to take care of this, and it was just bad contracting is what happened, and it was minimal enough. But the guy had the kahunas. I'm learning to speak better. He had so if I'm slow sometimes, it's not that I'm trying to be mean. The guy had some forthright to put a lien on me. So he just thought he would win. And if you weren't experienced, if you didn't come to the landlord lunch, you wouldn't have known that has no power over you. And this bank, this company that burned me was preventing me from getting my equity out of a property that I had to refinance because my 5-year balloon was due and I was in a pickle. So he was savvy enough as a contractor to put a lien on the property. If I was a GC, I would definitely put liens on people because I like to scare people. But the reality is, it had nothing to do to me, but I still had to pay for an attorney to help me to educate the banker who did not understand. They see paperwork and they go crazy. And so it was just an interesting situation. And that happened like 5 years ago. And it was still on there as a lien. It may be on there, but it doesn't mean it's viable. Okay, just know your law and hang out with the right people. Okay, we're doing good. Has this been beneficial for you? Okay, so you got 22 more minutes. What else? Anything exciting? Any other questions? You want to move on to?
Question. So you're talking about if you got contractor A who pulls a permit and they do a terrible job, can you somehow close that permit so you can go get contractor B?
I believe the permit's on there forever. You can always close out Yeah, and you can always open up a new permit. It's just going to cost you more money.
Gotcha.
But that guy's always going to be on there. And ultimately, you kind of want permits, guys, because if something ever did happen, it would fall back on that person. And I heard the other day, and I can't verify this, that if someone does work for you and they own a construction company, it stays like active for 7 years. So even if that construction company like does a job like wires your house, goes out of business, and then the house burns down 3 years later, you can actually go back onto their insurance and make a claim if they had insurance. But how do you verify their insurance? Huh? Call the broker. Okay. You guys are not excited. I'm trying to help you not get a house burnt down, and you like do you think your insurance is going to come to your aid?
They should be able to provide you some.
They're going to go right to the checker.
Copy, right? They should be able to hand you a copy of their insurance.
Were you late?
Yeah.
You missed
Like
out,
1
homeboy.
minute.
You missed the most glorious thing. Someone
around
educate
fast.
this guy. What should you do? Come on, y'all are too slow. Don't get it from the actual GC. Get it from the insurance guy. You heard that part, right?
Just now.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm just teasing you. No. Call their broker and say, hey, I need proof of insurance, a deck sheet, a GL policy, all their insurance for blank construction company. So when a contractor comes up to you, hey, do you have insurance? Oh yeah, I got insurance. Here you go. It's in the back pocket. Anybody seen it folded out before? You say, okay. 2 things you could do. You could take a copy of it. There should be an agent on there. You should call that agent and verify it's active.
Yeah.
If the guy doesn't have the sheet of paper, just randomly, he left it on the last job site, folded up, you could say, hey, sir, what's the company you use? And then call them directly. But I know that little trick you just heard there came from a real builder that's building several hundred houses who has run into this problem, where he's got tons of contractors running around, and he has seen fake insurance more times than he would like to agree upon. Okay, so you just need to know that. And all this hinges back to who's the one that has to deal with this. You do. Okay, you want to move on? So the next thing I have is how to find a contractor. We had quality was a problem, following through. Okay, you want to talk about following through? Is that a good one?
It's a contractor.
Or finding contractors? Which one?
Contractors.
Finding contractors? Okay. How do you find contractors? Mr. Alan Moore said one good thing. Ask. Ask everybody. Everybody in this room. Now these people in this room are a little nervous. They don't like to share their contractors. So just be aware of that. They might be real quick and say, here's my phone number.
We had a lot of conversations on Facebook of what we have real estate.
Yeah, I have seen.
related type.
Yeah, I've actually got some plumbers from Facebook stuff just for my database. Great places, Sherwin-Williams. That's a great place that I find really good painters. I just hang out there for a little while, and sometimes there's some cards on the wall, or I actually talk to the manager there and say, hey, who's the guy that you see on a regular basis? What's their name? Then they'll say their name. They may not, they'll just casually say their name. But that's one way how I find painters are really difficult to find.
Go that first thing in the morning when they open, see who shows up.
Yep, really early. And if you want to be a superstar, you bring donuts. You go to Home Depot, sit by the coffee machine. He's dead on. Those guys are like stumbling in there at 6 in the morning. It's hysterical. You should hang out there. But you could find someone. And the guy that I have working for me right now is just phenomenal. How I found that guy. He was just a regular handyman, just doing side jobs for just random people. And he's been working for us for a while. And I was like, yo, Leslie, how'd you get this guy? From somebody else. And he was just and he still does work for a bunch of people, but he does work for us. He's turned out to be a great guy. And it was just through a referral, and it turned out to well. Now, how many have I had lost and burned and died on? A lot.
And they change.
Yeah, yes.
So if I see what looks like a rehab going on, you see trucks and you see stuff stacked in the yard, I stop the car, I get out, I go in, hey, who's in charge? I talk them up and say, can I look at your work? And if I like what they say, I keep asking questions, and I found some good ones that way.
Yeah, I do. This is, again, the gut check thing. Next time I always stop and look in there. And, I mean, that's how I got this building. I drove by, and my gut was like, call the sign, call the sign. When you're driving by a job site, there's a time I saw a bricklayer in my neighborhood, and I was like, man, I should have got that dude's brick. But at that time, I didn't need a bricklayer.
Those are hard to find.
Yeah, I got lucky the last couple of jobs I've done, but man, I should have got that guy's number. But no, I have to go back on the Craigslist, trying to screw around with people and mess with it. It would have cut to the chase. Anybody have a good bricklayer?
One of my tenants is the biggest sales guy for brick here in Oklahoma, so we might be able to.
Yeah, I don't need one right now, but it's just fascinating who doesn't.
I'm sure he can come up with something.
Everybody's a plumber, right? Okay, yes, sir.
Peer companies often have a brick guy because they do a lot of point type.
Yeah, that's. Let me articulate that for you. Other trades usually know other trades. They usually see them around. And don't be worried that you see a name brand company. Like I work out at this gym and I see the same truck there, but I've gotten familiar with the guy that's there. They're rewiring some stuff, and I built a relationship with him. I was like, hey man, do you do any side work? Sure. That's one way I find good people too, because or I find journeymen that are in between licenses, or they just moved here and they're not licensed yet, and they just need light handyman stuff, but references. What else? How do you find them? Ask.
Driving down the street.
Driving down the street.
Take a picture of it.
Home Depot, Sherwin-Williams, any of those places. There's a Pittsburgh Paints.
Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Hispanic Realtors. Hispanic Realtors. I'm telling you, my wife's Hispanic, so I can say this. They're the most amazing people in my life. They work and they love their job. Wow. I love my job.
Yes.
Wow. I love my job. Think about it. So I'm not saying all Hispanics are amazing or all blank and blank and blank, but there's just a good way to find people. Chamber of Commerce. It's a great idea.
Very active one.
Anybody want to tell us a story on how they found their superstar? How do you find who painted your house, Mr. Long? Real fast, like the next day he bought this house, I sold him this house, the next day, blowing me up with photos.
Yeah.
And he had it rented out. Like I couldn't rent that dang thing out for my life depended on it. I sell it to him at a deep, deep discount. Had a ski mask on. Just blessed him with another house next door. Did you buy that one?
Yeah. Well, I'm working on it.
Yeah. You owe me lunch. So, how'd you find, who painted that house?
I found him from my Facebook through just, he had done some work in my neighborhood.
Even where you live?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And he's done, I think, 3 of the houses now. He's quick.
Now,
good.
I know where you live.
Yeah.
Those are not cheap houses.
Yeah.
It means that they don't get cheap prices.
Yeah.
But I know you have cheap rentals. So, you got cheap rentals in the hood of good, and you live in a nice neighborhood. How did that price get to that price? What'd you say?
Well, that's mostly the kind of work that he did.
Oh, he does ghetto work? Or cheaper work, I mean?
Yeah. So I found him through our neighborhood marketplace, whatever, but he wasn't doing work for those houses in our neighborhood.
So yeah, that's another thing. There is, every neighborhood has a web page, a Facebook marketplace. A Facebook group. Did you know that? Wherever you live at?
HOA.
No, like there's a Facebook group, well, I don't have one, but like, isn't there like, name someone name a Facebook group.
War Acres
They have
has
websites.
a group just.
Yeah, just for War Acres. So for where I live, there's just a group for this little area that I'm in. And there'll be tons of people, like tons of contractors in there that people are talking about. Yeah, blank just did this for me and blank did that for me. Or I just posed a question, hey, does anybody know anybody that does that?
Yeah.
So you found this individual that did a phenomenal
There's another
job.
investor in our neighborhood that was using.
Oh, another investor in our neighborhood?
Yeah.
Who was it? Chris?
I don't remember. I'll have to look at it.
Find out.
It's been a while.
I don't remember the investors in my neighborhood. All right. So Facebook, not Facebook Marketplace, but Facebook groups.
Yeah.
Okay. And probably I would do a medium houses that are 150. Find someone that you know that's in a PC North or PC Original or Bethany, and they have get someone that you know that lives in that area and get them to pose a question for you. And this is what happened to me the other day. Did anybody see that post on Facebook I put on about Mini Coopers a long time ago, about 2-3 months ago? Well, there's a Mini Cooper down there. That's my property manager's, and the girl's getting taken for a ride on mechanics. And I was like, girl, how much you? Oh, she paid like some crazy. I don't want to say. She paid some crazy money to repair. I was like, that for an alternator, that don't make sense on an alternator. And she's like, I don't know anyone else. And I was like, so I put it on Facebook. Now people think I drive a Mini Cooper, but I don't. I put on there, hey, I think I posed it as I have a friend that has a Mini Cooper, that thing, and I got like 3 good solid places that work on Mini Coopers that were not the big retail. So leverage someone else is network. Okay, what else? All right, let's get. Do you like that? You having a good time?
Well, no, but that.
You drove all the way from Guthrie?
That works. I mean,
Okay.
asking people about
Guthrie's got to have
Yeah.
its own little Facebook group in Guthrie.
Yeah, or it's a coffee shop.
Old school. You just go to the coffee shop. Okay, what's that place called? Kathy's. Rick's. Okay. Follow through. That was a problem that we have. What was your name again?
Kyle.
Follow through. Anyone could help a contractor follow through. How about bids? Does anybody have that problem? They say, I'm going to have that bid to you when?
No.
Tonight.
Yeah.
Has anybody got that bid tonight?
No.
I've never gotten that bid tonight. I'm still waiting on that tonight. On this building, we're trying to get gutters on it. Hey, man, we got one bid and it's like $5,000. Wow, we need to see a couple more. But he was the quickest. So does that mean that they're always more expensive?
Yeah.
Most desperate.
Desperate.
Or desperate? Why do they say, I'll get it to you tonight? And how should we follow up with them without making us seem desperate? Because the word desperate means what? Dollar bills. D for D. Desperation means dollar bills. You're going to pay more. Okay? So, how do we follow through with the contractor? How would you follow through with the contractor, sir?
I'd say, thanks for the quick bid. I'm going to wait till these other two come in? And
No, you're trying to get people to
Oh,
to
you're trying to
follow
come
through
in.
to do what you need to get for them to get done. Alan, how do you motivate your contractor besides putting a steak out there or killing a lamb or something you do?
Tell them I got 2 more jobs coming up, and I need to get them.
You lead them with other work. Okay.
With more work.
I don't do that technique anymore.
Well, I actually do, but I mean, that's my thing. You know, I got one guy that wants all my big jobs. I'm like, I can't guarantee you all that, but you know, if I can get this one done, because I got 2 more right behind it, and that usually works.
Lead
I
'em
haven't
with-
had to really crack, you know, put my foot down too hard.
Okay, what else?
Lead them with potential referrals, that you're part of a group of people that hire contractors all the time, and maybe
Yeah.
similar, but
Well, earlier I just sold a laptop, and this guy's going to get on the radio show, but he was a CPA, and I was like, hey man, once a month we meet with a bunch of investors. I know, and his eyes light up. Let them know that who you are. I think that's the most important thing. Don't tell them that you have 100 units. I don't think that's the proper thing to say. I always say, yeah, we have a couple, and you know, we're really looking for people to build a relationship with. We know this is a tough business. I used to be working this type of industry. I used to be a GC, and I try to relate to them. And you know, that doesn't necessarily give me any kudos, but at least we're on the same wavelength. Because a lot of these people are just in another world. Like they just think time is not the essence here. How do you follow through?
Don't pay until they're done.
Yeah. Here's a trick that I see a lot. I have these guys that will text me at noon on Friday. Hey, I'm almost done. Has anybody got that text before?
Oh, yeah.
And you
Every Friday.
And you roll over there, and what happens?
They ain't done.
They ain't done. And what do?
Don't pay them.
You don't leave. But they're gonna tear your house up. Well,
I set the expectations. The guys that I've been working with long enough, like, you know, they need to have everything out of the house that needs to be cleaned up before I'll cut them a check. And I tell them that right up front if it's somebody new.
Okay.
Don't try to get one over on me because it ain't gonna work.
Okay. How do you? The guy doesn't respond to you, and he's supposed to finish. How do you handle that situation? It's a job. We're almost done, and you're trying to finish, and the guy's disappeared. How do you get that guy to follow up?
Call the jail.
Somebody else come in and finish it.
Call him in the jail?
Call the jail. See if
Call the
he's
jail.
there.
Bail him out.
Check out the county court documents.
If you out properly and got a picture of his license, you go by his house.
Ooh, that's a trick I do. I always take everybody's license. Take a picture of their license. As soon as I talk to you, hey, how you doing? Let me get a copy of. I don't have one. Well, I always take a photo of their license because they don't know who you're dealing with, and then they go home and run them on OCN. OSCN. Okay, come on, guys. We got a bunch of smart people in here. There's probably thousands of years of.
Tell them to get the button gear.
Go to the house.
have your lawyer send them a letter.
I always pose a question. I pose a question. How could we make this work? It seems like you're busy. I want to pay you. I want to finish the job. That's how I get people engaged. You know, how could we make this work? Are you busy on a job? Can I come by and pick it up? You know, you start the process. Because usually something went wrong, right? What's usually wrong? They ran out of money, or they're usually what happens is that the last job called them back because they didn't do their job right, and they're going back to that job to fix it, and they're burning your job. Ultimately, what I do is when a situation like that happens, I settle out right there. Hey, let's just close this out today. I'll pay you your money. Now, I don't say how much I pay you, but that's how I get them to call me. Let's settle it out today. I'm going to pay you your money. Say I owe them $1,000. Now, I'm not going to pay them $1,000 because they didn't do the job, right? But in their mind, what are they thinking?
They're going to get paid.
They're going to get paid. Yeah, I'm going to give them $50. Or we're going to walk through the house with a statement book going over what you didn't do, and I start subtracting.
Right.
And then I actually start writing numbers on it, and then I come, oh, this is $1,300 worth of work. Still, that's going to cost me $1,300 to get this job done. And I only, you want your $1,000, or you going to get? Usually they just walk away, and that's what I want them to do anyway, because they slow my game down anyway, and I could find someone to get that probably what they still had left. $1,300 in my mind, but I know I can negotiate that down on the next contract for $800. That actually saved $200 by firing the guy. But what do most investors do?
What I've seen happen.
Hold on. What do most investors do?
They just pay him to get him out.
No, they just wait. They wait. They string you along. I'll tell you what you're going to get out of here today is don't let people string you along. This is your money. This is your asset. You need to put the foot down and say, this is what's going to happen. Okay? Because a lot of people don't realize when the house is vacant, it's vulnerable. Okay? And another thing, my favorite word, holding cost. There's so much holding costs. Insurance is extra if you go over 30 days. You probably don't know that. A lot of people don't know when a house goes vacant over 30 days, it kicks into a totally different insurance. And you're probably not calling your insurance agent and telling them that it is vacant more than 30 days. So now a claim could happen, and then that's going to come up, and it's not vacant. Now you're held to it. So there's a bigger variable here than just because I'm going to wait on homeboy because I believe in him, because he's trying to fix a problem, or he's getting a divorce, or he's got 30 more kids coming. It don't matter. This is what we agreed upon. I have a job to do. There's a family out there that needs a home that's safe and clean and done, and I need to provide it for them. That's what I'm called to do. Let's just make this work right now. Stop delaying jobs and close it out. And if you can't figure it out from there, call me and I'll help you and try to assess what work I've done. I always try never to be in a contractor more than they owe me in their work. What's a good ratio? 2 minutes. What's a good ratio?
Ratio of what?
Like that I've paid them X amount of money and they owe me X amount of work. Because you're going to have to do draws somewhere depending on how big the job is.
20%.
So you're saying that it's a $100 job and I've only paid them 20 or 20% left over for the job. I've only paid them 80 and they still owe 20% of work. And I still owe them 20% to...
I'll let them draw it out to the point where at the end of the job they have 20%.
Okay, so here's my ratios. Number one, I don't do anything more than $500. That's my limit. If I'll trust you and give you $100, $200, $300, $400, $500, anything over $500, depending on who you are, but I'll never be deep in you no more than $500. That's my red flag. 1,000, we've done 2 or 3 jobs before. Number two, I always try to keep the ratio down 50%, where it's like I have a 50% risk level, and I have 50. So if there's a $5,000 job, and I have paid him $250 in the job with draws, 60 or more has been completed in the job. I'll never prepay for work, and I will always have a ratio. And I would say about 20% is accurate, meaning I have given the guy $2,500, but he's done 70% of the work. Mm-hmm. So I still have a cushion there. Because what happens? You fire that dude, and then what happens? You start the whole ball again, and guess what happens? A lot of people, what I'm trying to convey today is that they are not taking that their time and their holding costs are valuable. When you have to start that bid and that process all over again, you're losing so much time and money that you have to start it all over. You have to close that dude out. You might have to change the locks. You might have to button things up. You kick the dude out. And next thing you know, a job that should have been 3 more days can turn into 2 weeks. So try to negotiate on the front end. Yes, sir.
I have a question. What if you're in the scenario where the only thing left is really to get the permit completed? Say it's electrical, and they're not answering you back.
Great question. I'd hire a new one and I'd call them on the phone, a new electrician. How much does it call me to pull a permit? And I'm always upfront, honest with them. Hey, I had a contractor. I cannot get a hold of them. I got to pull this permit. Some guys don't mind going behind other contractors and pulling permits. Some guys don't do it because it kind of gets weird with their insurance. But I was like, hey, I would love to open this property for you. I can show you exactly, here's their invoice, but I need to pull this permit. And I haven't really had time. Now, that cost me about $300 to get that done. So he's going to charge me at least $250 to come over there, and I'm going to probably pay for the license.
If you pull the permit from the electrician and this and that,
there is ways to pull a permit. So, but you're getting into an area that's not necessarily true because you have to be a licensed contractor to pull a permit. But there is ways to pull a permit.
Well, understand, if you're the one paying for it and talking to the city directly, can you change the person on the permit?
Can't.
You can't. Okay.
You can. Like there is some. We can have that on another day. There is a way to pull permits.
Not on Facebook Live.
Yeah, that's right. There we go. But I actually I talked about it in a podcast one time. Or maybe I didn't do it. I need to.
Did you pull it as a homeowner?
There is ways to pull permits. But the lady at this counter is going to jam you up on the phone real fast. The number one question you're going to ask, are you a contractor or what's your license? That's the question you're going to ask. There's a way to answer that properly. All right.
Hey, last month you talked about securing the place. So this is vacant for 2 months. I'm thinking about getting 2 cameras. You mentioned that last month, 2 fake cameras. Now, what about the AC? Should that be one of the last things that go in? What's some of the things that get stolen outside? Or
yeah, I never said, depends. I mean, it doesn't matter what neighborhood. A condenser could be stolen. Again, depend. I usually put a cage on the condenser. I do a fake cameras. Make sure you get the fake cameras that move, meaning when you move, the light blinks and the light does go off. Don't just go buy the $5 camera. The light just blinks the whole time because they're not that dumb. Okay.
But they steal them.
Great.
The fake cameras?
The cameras.
You have a sign in the window that has, go buy all this on Amazon. It's called less than $30. You buy surveillance the property, put it in the window, or tape it on the front door, and then I buy 4 cameras. You can buy a pack of 4 cameras for like $30. They're motion. They take AA batteries, and you kind of zip them up there real fast, and they work.
It's probably the neighbors that are stealing though. They see you install them.
Yeah, I've seen it. Most neighbors not. And if you really think that's true, you go knock on their door. Hi, I work for a property management company. We're finishing up this rehab over here to get great. What kind of tenants are you looking for? And I start making a joke. And then, what's your name? What's your last name? Then I'll get their card number, and then I'll go run them on OCN. Real fast. Oh, he's got 4 warrants. We solved that problem real fast. Cleaning up the neighborhood. Well, here's my favorite number. What's a number? Everybody should write this down because it's going to be bomb. You'll be like, oh man, I got my $10 worth today. Here it is right here. You're driving around. What number do you call? Not 911. There's a number. See if anybody, don't answer, Alan. You may know it.
911 you talking about?
What's a number you can call? You see something you shouldn't be seeing. It's called the Action Hotline.
Oh, yeah.
The Action Hotline. I got that on speed dial too. Well, I'm not a property manager anymore.
They got an app.
They got an app too. Also, text a tip. That's my favorite one too.
What?
Text a tip. Google it up. You can text a tip to the police. Hey man, there's marijuana over here. You could. I'm telling you, don't live in my neighborhood. Let's just be clear, because I'm gonna call you out. I'm gonna call you every action number. It works. All right. You guys had a good time today?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the subject for next month? Anything exciting? What's the dire? This is sure you like rehabs. What's the next one? All right. Thank you. Have a great day.
Investor Weekend is not far off, with over 10 information sessions to increase your portfolio. Log on to www.investorweekend.com. Whether you are a seasoned investor or never purchased a property before, you don't want to miss the Investor Weekend. Join us for a powerful, knowledge-packed weekend with over 10 informational sessions that are bound to enlarge your real estate investments. You will hear from the best national and local real estate investors that will share practical and relevant experiences with you, the investor. There will be several networking sessions to connect with other like-minded people for potential funding, partnerships, and yes, hot deals. Go to www.investorweekend.com. Did you know we meet once a month for the Landlord Lunch Meeting? The third Wednesday of every month. Go to landlordlunch.com.
Thanks for listening to the Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at savvyradioshow.com. Connect on Twitter at LandlordBook and always be buying assets.